go. And then we're gonna highlight you, spotlight you for everyone. There we go. And let me know, I think I have it set. Hey. Sorry for the barking dog if you can hear him. There we go. All right.
All right, there.
If everybody else could go ahead and mute themselves, that would be great.
Okay, so I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to talk about tonight. So I figured I would just pull up my website and maybe sift through some images and talk about some inspirations. I do a lot of work with sustainable materials, and I do some traditional fine arts stuff as well. But when I was thinking about incorporating sustainability into your artwork, to me, I think that it comes more naturally to incorporate sustainable materials into your artwork when you also incorporate more sustainable choices into your life. So I don't keep up with my blog very regularly, but I do have a couple of things on here that I have found products that aren't very expensive, that are easily accessible, that I've found just like little tiny swaps to make my consumer choices a little bit more environmentally friendly. And I think when you get in the mindset of your impact on the greater whole, throughout different aspects of your life, it starts to come naturally in all aspects of your life. So doggy poop bags, sponges, shampoo, the things that we choose to do all the time affect everything else. Like for instance, this shirt had armpit stains in it, and instead of throwing it away, I bleach dyed it. Like there are all kinds of things that we can do to try to make, choices to be less wasteful, and to also use more of what we have. So this is my website. My fiance made this for me a couple of years ago as a gift. So he maintains the domain for me, which is really sweet. So this is a link to like shows that I've been in, which I don't do a lot of shows. I think most of you know that I am a full-time high school art teacher. So what I'm able to do in my free time is pretty limited, because I also have a lot of other hobbies as well. I garden and I read. I like to do a lot of journaling. I have 2 dogs that I like to spend time with. We like to do a lot of outdoor activities. But these are the shows that I have done, not a ton. I'm trying not to scroll too fast so that nobody yaks. And then other things that I have done are here as well. So I have a section for my fine arts, which I just consider more like traditional drawings and paintings. And again, because I'm an art teacher, that sort of allows me to work in a variety of mediums because I'm constantly introducing those at school. So like acrylic, watercolor and pen, acrylic. This one is oil pastel. I do some of those as well. This one was a graphite I did of my mom for her wedding photo. I mean, it was from a long time ago. So, I try to challenge myself. This one's like mixed media, watercolor, oil. So, I mean, pretty much it is oil pastel, watercolor, acrylic, and oil paintings. So that's pretty much the fine art stuff that I do the most. That was a mural I just did at school at the end of the year with acrylic. I don't know. I just think art is fun and I just make what I feel like. I don't really feel pressure to pigeonhole myself into one specific concentration. I used to. I definitely used to feel like if I didn't have a thing, then I couldn't consider myself an artist. But I think as I've gotten older, I've taken away that pressure of having to be some definition of what somebody else considers an artist. So that's why I consider myself more of a maker now, because, you know, I do these upcycled things and the more fine arts things and, you know, the wearable things as well that I haven't talked yet about. So on the website, I try to incorporate a couple of little artist statements here and there. I don't want it to be too word heavy. You all saw this piece, I think, at the Pittsburgh Airport Area Chamber of Commerce building. I made these flowers out of my to-do lists. I do a lot of to-do lists at school and at home. Otherwise, I'm very forgetful, so I have to rely on my lists. And I don't know, there was something really beautiful about the chicken scratch. I guess all the words, and some of them are going this way and some of them are going this way, and then they get filled up and then I cross stuff out and then I try to use the back. And, you know, in the spirit of not wanting to throw anything away, I thought, boy, I think it would be interesting to do something with all of these. So I had the idea to turn them into flowers. I did a garbage flower event with my art club students. And so I sculpted a flower out of my old to-do list. And I just thought that was pretty neat. And I would try to do something with that. And then at the time in one of my classes, I was teaching about Georgia O'Keeffe, and she would paint her flowers so big. And in one of her writings that I had my students read, she says, nobody sees a flower. Really, it's so small, we haven't the time. And to see takes time. And I thought that there was something really special about that too, because that's kind of my philosophy with sustainability. It kind of takes time, right? Like sustainability is almost like the antithesis of capitalism, right? Use, buy, throw away. So to slow down in every aspect of your life and to appreciate and to mend, you know, so these are just some of the upcycled pieces here. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick right now. My throat hurts. I apologize. But anyway,
so like I can grab something to drink. Are you okay?
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. But some of these pieces, you know, it's just stuff that I have that I don't want to toss. Like this piece, for example, is hanging at the Carnegie Mellon Robotics Institute where my fiance works. And it was jelly printing and collage and sort of assemblage of the materials that he had left over from his robot kits. So I really appreciate, you know, mixed media, because I think that there's a lot of fun to be had in compositional layout. And a lot of these things I have kept, like a lot of these handmade papers I kept from previous workshops and experiments I had done. And I know what it sounds like. She must be a hoarder. She must not throw anything away. Well, there are limits. Obviously, you have to set boundaries for yourself. I think I will go get a drink. Hold on. Sorry. So other things, you know, with sustainability, I was just talking with a friend about this. I don't know, I don't want to assume ages, but my grandmother was a Depression era, I guess, youth, and she darned socks and made things out of other things. I was just talking to one of my family friends, and she was saying about how her mother braided wool scraps together, wool fabric scraps to make rugs. And I think a lot of ingenuity came out of necessity. And I think that, you know, with how quickly we buy and discard things, we don't do that so much anymore. And I think a lot of things are made to be thrown away too, which is a shame. So, you know, I try to challenge myself to try to make things out of what I have. This is my little niece here. I made her this little poncho out of a sweater that became too small. And then these are pants I had since high school. I mean, that was, I won't tell you how many years ago, but obviously I'm not the same size as I was in high school. So I was able to, repurpose some fabric to put in there. And, that's something too about when you are a reuse person, people will give you things. Like that fabric was given to me by a coworker. I have a stack of, I don't know if you can, I don't think you can see me right now because I'm sharing my screen, but I have a whole stack of cardboard down here that my coworker at school gave me, and I'm going to end up using for my name cards at my wedding. It's neat. There's not so much pressure on you having to find things. People will just give them to you.
Leah, we can't see you in the participant box. So if you want to hold something up, we'll be able to see it as well as see your share screen.
Oh, that's okay. I'll wait till the end. But anyway, a lot of the clothes upcycling that I do just basically comes out of need. Like I said, something rips, so I fix it, or something becomes too small, so I make it larger. I do want to do more things like this, where I made this coat. This was upholstery fabric that my coworker gave me, and then the sleeves were made from old pants. I want to do more of that, using more fabric with like patterns and things. That was a real fun challenge. So I want to do a little more of that, but time is something I need to attempt to make a little bit more of here in my life. So yeah, I don't really know how much more I have to share. It's basically just this idea of using what you have and learning the skills to make what you have work. It's really just about what you prioritize in your life and what you choose to bring into your home, and then what will you do with it.
Leah, are you part of different groups that give you ideas, or do you just come up with all these things on your own?
That's a really good question. Do you mind if I turn off my share screen?
That's fine.
I have a couple more pictures I can show you that I want to share, something I'm currently working on in the spirit of show and share. So yeah, that's a great question. It kind of goes back to what I was talking about, just like the way you interact. Well, for me, at least, it's the way that I interact in the world. Sort of everything becomes a source of inspiration. So because I am so busy with, being a full-time art teacher, and, currently I'm planning a wedding, so that takes up a lot of my free time too now in the evenings. But I do belong to the Pennsylvania Art Education Association. I serve on the board of that organization, representing 9 counties to the state of Pennsylvania, sort of creating and providing professional development and networking opportunities for art teachers in the area. And a lot of what I try to focus our sessions on is art making, art teachers as artists. Because I think, a lot of times we lose that or forget to make time for that because we're so busy trying to see out other people's creative ideas. So yeah, I do some art making with the teachers, and I'll get inspiration from that. I also really love to take workshops. It helps keep me active. So like a lot of things that I use in my upcycled pieces. For example, here, I'll show you this one. Where would it be? Let's see. I did it for something for the West Hills Art League. That's why I joined the West Hills Art League, to help kind of keep me current. This one. So like I was saying about doing workshops and things to help me keep me current, a lot of the materials that I use in my mixed media pieces came from workshops, or came from past art making experiences, or are some type of conglomeration of things I've tried and failed at, or things I've tried and kept but really didn't have a use for. So like the fabric of this self-portrait piece came from a failed upcycle attempt. The hole punches here were an encaustic painting from when I was an undergrad that I had framed but hadn't hung up in my home in years, and I thought, well, it's time to take that out and do something else with it. And the scrap pieces of sewing patterns here. So it is really true that, you know, anything you see within one of my pieces probably has some type of past life. even the even the piece that in 2020 that I did for where is that? This one, the piece that I did for the Mother's Day show, that I don't know if I can make this bigger, but every single thing of this piece came from something else too. Like the yellow fabric was like a flour pounding experiment I did with a friend. And the paper woven in the background I took out of the recycling bin at school. And again, the encaustic circles, and again, the sewing pattern scraps. It's all just about, you know, seeing the potential in things beyond what maybe you bought them for or originally made them for, or why they're in your life, or why they're headed for the recycling bin. It's kind of like a little bit of divergent thinking, right? Like, how many different ways can you solve a problem? That's kind of what happens every time I touch something. Like, what could I do with this? How many ways could I make this into something else? So I have a very busy brain. But yeah, that was a good question. I don't know if I really answered it adequately. But no, I don't really go on like Pinterest or anything. It's just sort of like I said, it's just, what do I have, and what else could it be? So this was wrapping paper that I made. If you follow my Instagram, you probably saw it. I had gotten my grocery order from Aldi, and I had celery butt and some brown paper bags, and I always saw kids do that celery printing, and I thought, boy, I'd like to do that. So these were my materials here, and I made it into wrapping paper. So instead of throwing away the brown paper bag or recycling or what have you, I made it into some wrapping paper that I've been using for gifts. And then it's real special too, you know, people appreciate that you took the time and care to do that, or they don't. And that's their problem.
Well, I would think that somebody would appreciate something that was handmade over something that's just bought in the store. So,
oh yeah,
but that's me.
Hey, Leah, were you on a panel of some kind, like maybe a year or two ago? And it was, I think I watched a YouTube video that you were a part of. Do you recall that?
yeah, that was that the one for the group against smog and pollution?
Maybe, but I had watched, when was that? Maybe a year ago, maybe two?
I think 2 years ago sounds right. But yeah, I talked specifically in that one about like my journey in learning how to sew.
Yeah, and I had watched that, and it really actually made an impact on me. And around that time, after watching it, you know, I started looking at my art materials differently. And like, I literally think of you sometimes, like, oh, you know, what would Leah do or think, you know, how would she solve this problem? And I kind of found that I somewhat enjoy like the self-imposed boundaries I put on myself by saying like, okay, how can I use this like cardboard? I bet I could do something with this. Or, you know, using plastic bags to make art prints out of, you know.
Yeah.
So I have to say, like, you have, you've made an impact on me in how you're thinking differently. And, you know, so I for one enjoy, you know, what you've presented to the group. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel a little bit badly. Rita Wilson says the same thing. She says, but hers is comical. She said, Leah, I can't throw this away. She says, I think about you, and I feel like I can't put it in the trash. And I said, well, it's never my intention to make you feel bad about throwing something away.
Well, I mean, I'm enjoyed your presentation, and I realize I don't know you very well, but I could honestly say that, yes, I think that's the voice I have in my head whenever I want to throw anything, any kind of plastic away or anything. And I'm trying to make a conscious choice now when I go to the grocery store, if I can, is to buy whatever the product is in glass. If it's available in glass, I'll buy it in glass as long as it's not plastic. Yeah, you know, just all those little differences. But I also like that you said that you don't want to define yourself by the medium that you use. And I think that that's a really sticky trap a lot of people get into. I know I've been in that trap too, like, oh, I can't be an artist unless I'm a painter, or if I'm a painter, I should only paint like this, or if I'm a sculptor, I should only paint like this. And like we create these kind of self-imposed boundaries about it. And I think that for me, it's good if I can move away from those.
Yeah, definitely. The current piece that I'm working on right now is the plastic bottle show for Kim. So right now I'm just doing a lot of experimenting. I started trying out printing with the bottoms of plastic bottles.
Mhm.
So it's a lot about like just playing and having fun. I got this vest at Goodwill Outlets for like 80 cents. And I just cut the top of it off, and then I made the bottom half into a pattern. And I've been printing. I'm so bad with using, so I can't see what you see on my screen because my camera is broken. So let me see if I can. So this is where it's at right now. Excuse all the wedding stuff.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
so I made, whoops, where am I? Here we go. I made the vest longer. And right, so it would be width.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on
Beautiful.
the show. And then I also have been experimenting. I love to weave. I've been experimenting with weaving plastic and fabric together. So right now it's just in the experiment stages.
Mhm.
I love it.
I love that you're showing us your thinking process there, because I've been collecting plastic too, because I would like to submit something to that same show. And, you know, I'm like you, I'm like, you know, there's got to be a way I can use this somehow. It's kind of, I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm in the thinking process at this point.
My husband hates this show, Kim. Hates it. Hates it because I haven't let him throw away anything plastic, and I've been like doing this kind of thing where I'm like shredding it into like all these different little like spiraling pieces. And he's just like, when is this show going to be over? When can I throw things away again?
My dining room table is covered with plastic bottles.
You too.
I'm drinking more Fresca because I need green bottles than I ever intended.
I know, I've been hitting people up like with their kids, like, so what color plastic bottles do you use in your house? You know?
Have you tried melting it yet?
I have not, because what I'm doing is I have to make it into its form first, and then I'm going to heat it. And
Okay.
see if
It doesn't take much heat at all. You basically show it a candle or a match and it just crumples.
okay.
Yeah, I tried ironing it actually, and
Oh,
it was like a shrinky dink, you know?
I was gonna say that would be pretty extreme, no?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wonder if you just steamed it, like didn't even really touch it, but just like let the steam hit it, what it would do.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
tried a
wow.
hair dryer. That didn't work. I think you need a heat gun,
Mhm.
but flames work really well.
And a lot of ventilation.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the show to see a lot of creative thinking and processes though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it always is. It just can't leave well enough alone. But I think it's a really good thing to talk about. You know, like
Yep.
Leah said, a lot of people don't think too far ahead. And it does take time. You have to plan. If you want to reuse things or upcycle them, it's not a spur of the moment thing. You have to say, hey, I'm going to make an effort to do this. But I think it needs to become the norm rather than the exception.
And I think too, like it's all about our habits, because I'm not perfect. Even I sometimes will stop at a store without thinking ahead and I have to bring home a grocery bag, you know, like I follow a lot of sustainability like influencers on social media, and they always say we don't need 100% of the people doing zero waste perfectly. We need 100% of the people doing zero waste at the as best as they can. Like, I think that there's this pressure to be green, but like, if you just practice little things, it'll come more naturally. Like, I don't drink out of plastic bottles. Those all came from when my parents stayed at our house to watch the dogs. But like, that takes time to remember to take your bottle with you, and you know, to remember to throw the canvas bags back in the back of your car, and little things like that. I take those little silicone stasher bags to school for my lunch, and I'll have coworkers comment, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to wash that out. Well, it takes about 30 seconds. So, you know, it's just really, and, you know, no judgment. It's all about what you choose to make a priority, right? Because you could say you don't have time for that, but really it's just about changing your habit to make that little bit of extra time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think it's really neat to apply it to art, because every little kid can take your leftover cutouts or whatever and make something out of it. And for some reason, when you grow up, that doesn't happen as often. So I don't know why the thought process changes, but it does.
Leah, I have a question on what are the ages that you teach?
I teach high school.
Oh, high school. And do you ever have a show?
Oh yeah, we have a huge art show. We have over 1,000 pieces every year. It takes up the whole gym. It's a pretty big deal. Our seniors actually make installations that they build out of 4-foot by 8-foot foam core boards.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
When is this?
It's always the second to last week of April.
oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's huge.
Okay. At the school?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing a blog too. I didn't want to give anything away. Our Leah and I's wedding is fully sustainable. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of those processes probably later this summer or early fall after it happens. Because like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but a lot of that has been made sustainably as well.
That's really neat.
My boss, his daughter just got married and the flowers were all done out of paper.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was neat. And what they did is he had it in a field under a big tent, and the theme was like a carnival. So he had food trucks, and the food looked really good. There was like almost like looked like lamb, and they had pizzas and tacos, and they had like a Bronco bull and some games and stuff. But I love the idea of the paper flowers, and I love the idea of having it outside in a field. And I mean, of course I wasn't there, but just the whole notion of it, that sustainability is just it's so lovely, and it's so interesting when you can really bring that into your life, like you're saying. I mean, that's huge. I love it though. I can't wait to see what your blog says. When are you getting married?
The end of this month.
Oh, it's coming up really soon.
I know. That's why I'm not showing you a studio tour, because it's a mess.
That's okay.
Are you getting married outside? Or inside?
We are actually, our ceremony's in front of a living plant wall that Lee's dad made. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then so it's the sustainable farming campus of Chatham up in Gibson. And then our reception will be in the barn and the tent there.
Oh, nice.
And all the food is grown on campus. It's all local.
Are you changing your name? Are you going by a different name after this?
No.
You're Leah Shuck with no C. With no C.
Just the But that's it. If you guys want to commence your own show and share things, if you want to show anything you're working on, I don't really have anything else to talk about, I don't think, unless anybody else has any questions. I mean, if you are interested in being a writer variety of stuff. My Instagram is leahshuck.maker. I post on there kind of sometimes, but not so much on Facebook.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your work and kind of your process and your inspirations. That's really helpful.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Nice. Thanks, Leah.
Oh, sure.
I'll stop the recording.